Time travel has been a popular topic for science fictions for decades, from Doctor Who to Star Trek to Back to the Future. Each come with their own time machines or some sort of vehicle and arrive in the past or future, ready to take on new adventures. The reality, however, is confused. Not all scientists believe that time travel is possible. Some even say that an attempt would be fatal to any human who chooses to undertake it. Albert Einstein once came up with an idea about how time works. He called it relativity. This theory says that time and space are linked together. He also said our universe has a speed limit. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second. What does this mean for time travel? Well, according to this theory, the faster you travel, the slower you experience time. This is true because scientists have done some experiments with two clocks set to the exact same time. One stayed on Earth while the other flew in an airplane. After the airplane flew around the world, scientists compared the two clocks and noticed that the clock on the fast-moving airplane was slightly behind the clock on the ground. It means the clock on the airplane was traveling slightly slower in time than 1 second per second. The time travel is indeed a real thing, but according to our current technology and science, scientists claim that we cannot use a time machine to travel hundreds of years into the past or futures. That kind of time travels only happens in books and movies. Well, we are not so sure about that, because whatever story is coming out next might change your mind. On November 2nd of 2000, a man calling himself John Titor posted a message on little-known internet discussion board, something called the Time Travel Institute Forum, saying he is a time traveler from the year 2036 and on his way home after getting a computer system from the year 1975. He made a side trip to 2000 to pick up some family photos and check in on family in Tampa and Rochester. Over the next 4 months, John responded to every question other poster had, such as claim he was a soldier sent from 2036, the year the computer virus wiped the world. His mission was to hack back to 1975 in order to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer system, which had the necessary to debug various legacy computer programs in 2036, a possible reference to the Unix year 2038 problem. An interesting fact is, Apple Silly did predict the end of the world will be January 2038. When people ask when the apocalypse is happening, well, it's not that scary because the Unix year 2038 problem is caused by insufficient capacity used to represent time. It is just a matter of Unix overflow. Most programs use Unix time that has epoch of January 1st, 1970. Some systems can handle 32 digits at their end, which is known as 32-bit systems, and it has a limit. Eventually, when it reaches to this number of seconds after January 1st, 1970, which will be January 19, 2038, at that time, the clock glitches and the date will revert to December 13, 1901. Sounds horrible, right? This is similar to the Y2K millennium bug. On December 31st, 1999, as the clock neared midnight, people were in fear that computer would crash because of Unix overflow. Anyway, due to the 2038 problem, most people thought it would be wise to change the problem, so they changed it to a 64-bit system, which could last a lot longer. Back to John, he also explained how his time machine works and offering up diagrams of the device. This technology was developed by CERN company and is mainly used for military purposes. CERN is a European research organization that operates the largest particle physics laboratory in the world. What we are using today in the internet technology was invented by CERN. John also said that time really isn't linear. Instead, he claimed it is a web of parallel universes. There are different versions of yourself living in different universes at the same time, but each parallel universe has 1 to 2% difference. This is something we mentioned in the last video, the Flat Earth episode. In a short time on the internet, John made a series of interesting predictions that seems mixed accuracy. His most dire warning was a second American Civil War begin in 2004, splinters America into 5 factions, leaving the new capital based in Omaha, Nebraska. World War III breaks up in 2015, starting with Russia and the United States creating nukes and ending with 3 million deaths, which is not true. He also claiming that due to the worldwide conflicts, the final Olympic would take place in 2004. He also said that mad cow disease would become an epidemic, which all of them did not happen. But it's not all were failed predictions. There were few actually came true, like he predicted the crash of Columbia spaceships and the Iraq War in 2003. John also predicted that Stephen Hawking would come forward and talk about how he made a mistake when it comes to the black holes. Before he dies, Stephen Hawking revealed that he had originally said about the black hole was wrong. At the time, this prediction sounds crazy, but they were correct. John also said that CERN company would be developing the first time machines, and in the year of 2007, CERN company announced that they will build a Large Hadron Collider, which many scientists worry this experiment will create a black hole that could swallow up the entire universe, or maybe create a quantum wormhole could carry people travel through time. While John's physics knowledge may have been up to the speed, scientists claim that for his predictions to the future was not reliable and believe this is a hoax. Some believers in John Titor argue that his predictions weren't happen because of the parallel universe and his timeline is different. Anything that could happen will happen in a different universe. Those things still happen in John's timeline, but he managed to stop them from happening in ours. Your thoughts about this? In March 2003, the FBI arrested a 44-year-old man called Andrew Carlson for SEC violations for making 126 high-risk stock trades and being successful on every single one. He may be the luckiest person in the stock market history, but didn't last long. As reported, he started with an initial investment of $800 and ended with over $350 million just in 2 weeks. That drew attention of the SEC. Later, reports suggested that after his arrest, instead of the usual denial, Carlson shocked the FBI with full 4 hours confessions. He was no ordinary insider trader. His 126 high-risk trades had paid off because he always knew they would. He claimed to be a time traveler from 200 years in the future. At first, Carlson's confession was not believed. He may capitalize on unexpected business developments, which simply cannot be pure luck. The only way he could pull it off is with illegal inside information. The SEC suggested that he should sit in a jail cell until he agrees to give up his sources. But Carlson never gave up his sources. Instead, he admitted that he made a technical error. As part of his plea bargain, he offered to tell investigators such things as the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden and a cure for AIDS in return for lesser punishments, and to be allowed to return to his Thai craft, while FBI determined to prove him a liar. They could not find records of Carlson's existence before December 2002. Later, that mysterious time-traveling Andrew Carlson had been bailed out by an unidentified benefactors who pony up $1 million, then jumped bail before an April 3rd court hearing, and disappeared without a trace. The above is all about time travelers are coming back from the future. Next, let's take a look at the most famous and highly credible events about time traveler to the future. In 2006, a man was wandering lost in the street of Kiev, Ukraine. He was wearing a very old-fashioned strange dress and with an old camera in his hand as he were a tourist. Soon enough, 2 policemen asked him to identify himself. The man showed his ID, and it was from 1950s, and it was issued by the USSR, of more than 50 years of antiquity. The man, named Sergei Ponomarenko, born in the city of Kiev on June 16, 1932, claimed his current age is 25 years old. His shocking reactions to present day was abnormal. The cops treated him like he was insane and took him to the psychiatric clinics. There, Dr. Pavel Kudikov investigated Sergei and tried to understand if Sergei experienced any serious trauma or stress that could displace such tendency for escaping reality and for going deeper into their memories. The doctor asked Sergei how it was that he appeared in the year of 2006, and then Sergei talked about he was on his break and decided to go for a walk. He took his camera with him and saw some strange object in the sky. It looks like a massive bell, but it was something else and flying along some strange trajectory. And while photographing it, he suddenly found himself in this future place. It was difficult to explain what he was seeing, and he suggested the doctor might get better answers to look at the photos from his camera. Dr. Kutrikov decided to review the photos, but there was a difficulty. First, there was a really old camera from different century. Then, the camera roll they tried to review was not being manufactured since the 70s. Eventually, with the help from experts, they managed to review all the photographic roll that showed the images of the city of Kiev of the decade of the 1950s. Also, a photo of a woman about 25 years old, and another image where Sergei Paramarenko was, even in the same outfit. The photograph that caught the most attention was where the UFO appeared in the form of a bell, as described by Sergei before reviewing the scroll. After talking to Dr. Krutikov, Sergei went to his room. The clinic's security camera captured the moment when he enters the room, but he was never seen leaving, and somehow Sergei disappeared. The only way out was always watch. The windows in the room had bars. It was impossible to escape. So the police began the investigation about Sergei, and they confirmed that indeed during the era of the Soviet Union, this man existed, and that he was declared disappeared in 1960. Later, the police were able to find a 74-year-old woman named Valentina Kulips, who was the same woman from the photos taken by Sergei, and Valentina happened to have the same photo that Dr. Krutikov showed her. Valentina was very surprised and confirmed that it was authentic. She recalled that Sergei once told her some very strange things, describing how the future was like, how easy to cook a meal in a few minutes using microwave, and they have the wireless phone. Scientists have rejected other facts that the time travel is impossible. The best evidence is that we have not been invaded by hordes of tourists from the future. Yet, there are many other unresolved time travel incidents happen in this world, like the case of Sergei's, opens the possibility that a UFO has caused a man to travel in time, an extraordinary possibility that at the moment is unknown to us all. What do you think? Please comment below. Thank you for watching. Please thumbs up and subscribe if you like this video.